Like I said, this episode of Creature Commandos, while it wasn't the best episode, it was a really, really good episode. I really enjoyed James Gunn doing what James Gunn does and really making you care about these characters. And that's what he did throughout the entire season here, specifically with, in this episode, Nina Mazursky, and showing us how she was born with the lungs on the outside of her body, her father doing some weird testing and, work to make her basically become what she becomes. And then her feeling like an outcast and running away from home. And the thing about her through this entire season is she was never a killer. She was never somebody who even seemed like she belonged part of this team. Even in the backstory, that was the one thing that caught me, was like, why was she even there? What was the point of her being thrown into prison? There was nothing really, like, why is she there? Like, nothing ever explained, at least in a very good reason why she was there. So to show this backstory and then have her, spoilers, die was just so heartbreaking. This was the one where James Gunn said that this may have been the saddest story that he ever wrote. And it was very, very sad the way that he wrote it. And then the bride, because this was the bride's like only friend that she's ever had, to witness her die like that was pretty heartbreaking for her and tough for her to go through that type of emotions, those types of emotions, because prior to that she had the doctor who created her, but after that she's not really had anybody that she's been close to until now. The story that James Gunn wrote through and through this entire season was, while not like overly impactful to the point where it's like, okay, we see where the DCU is headed, but it was such a good story because you got attached to these characters. These are fun, interesting characters that make you feel like, okay, these are really cool characters. Like, these are interesting characters. It's what James Gunn is good at doing, is fleshing out characters and really making you care about them. Again, he is a fantastic writer. I say this all the time. The Bride is absolutely the standout of this entire series. Weasel was phenomenal in this series, specifically episode 4 was absolutely great. And if you didn't nearly come to tears in that episode, specifically the last like 4 minutes of that episode of his, where you learn the backstory of Weasel, do you even have a heart? I mean, come on. Eric Frankenstein, his story was so interesting. And to see how that went and where that went, and we're going to see him again. Where is that going to go? Again, there's so much like there. And then we get a new team. We see that there's going to be a new team of Creature Commandos, and the fact that the Bride is now the leader, which is really exciting, really cool. You see that Amanda Waller is building these teams because you have Team Peacemaker that we have. Now you're going to have Creature Commandos, a team that she created. Now, Team Peacemaker isn't really her team anymore, I guess, but it is another team that is out there. And then you have the Creature Commandos. You're going to have the Justice League at some point. It's really cool to see all these little sects, all these little teams that are coming together, that will be coming together within the DCU, and how different they all are from one another. And that is really cool as well. Again, you take a look at what James Gunn is building. It's different than what we've seen in the past. It's different than the MCU. It's different than the DCEU, and that is a good thing. That is a very, very good thing. So that's what I'm excited about. That's what I loved about Creature Commandos. I think it was a great way to kind of give us a little taste, a little morsel of what the DCU is going to be. No, this isn't the DCU proper. That starts with Superman in July. But it gave us a good bit. It gave us enough to say, okay, we see what they're doing here. We see that there's a larger scale ideas. But we just got a little taste. We got a little bit here. We got some characters. We see there's Clayface. We see there's Circe. We see there's other characters out there. We see Rick Flag has been doing some things. That's great. But now we know that we're going to get the full scope and scale of the DCU in July with Superman. And that's just exciting. I loved what they did with Creature Commandos. And I'm looking forward to Creature Commando Season 2, and I'm just looking forward to what they do with the DCU moving forward. And yes, there's people out there who are going to sit there and poo-poo on Creature Commandos. They just don't want to have fun. That's all there is to it. They just don't want to have fun. They don't care if all they want is brooding and sad and dark and deep. That's all they want. And it's like sometimes you can have a little fun with your superhero funny comic book movies. It's okay. It's okay to have fun with comic book movies or comic book TV shows or animated shows. But they just want to poo-poo on it because, oh, this was a little over the top. It was adult humor. It's not good. Like, come on, guys. Let's have a little fun. We knew what we were getting into. And again, if it's not for you, then that's fine. Wait for July. Give it a shot because the storytelling was just that good. When you pull out the adult-themed elements and you look at the story of Weasel, you look at the story of G.I. Robot, you take a look at the story of Nina Mazursky, you take a look at the story of The Bride, you look at those and you see how much passion, how much heart, how much love was put into creating the stories and how they were interwoven through the entire series, or at least season 1. You come out of it and you say, wow, like that is somebody who cares about these characters and who wants to build these characters to be impactful to this universe. And he did a hell of a job, James Gunn, that is. But I want to know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments below.